Welcome to our video on how to decrease debt. In today's economy, it's not uncommon for people to find themselves in a position of owing money to multiple creditors, whether it's credit card debt, student loans, or medical bills. It can be overwhelming and stressful to try and pay off. But the good news is that there are a few steps which you can take to decrease your debt and take control of your financial situation. In this video, we'll go over some strategies for paying off debt quickly, as well as some tips for managing your finances to avoid getting into debt into the first place. So today, I will be sharing my experience because I paid $10,000 in 3 months, and I will be discussing about my strategies which I used. So let's get into it. Step 1. Assess your debt situation. The first step in decreasing your debt is to assess your current situation. Make a list of all of your creditors, the amount you owe, and the interest on each account. This will give you a clear picture of what you are dealing with and where to focus your efforts. Number 2 is to create a budget. Once you know how much debt you are dealing with, it's time to create a budget. A budget is a plan for how you will use your money each month. It's important to prioritize your expenses and make sure you are not overspending. Make sure to include all of your bills, including your debt payments, in your budget. Now let's look at number 3. Pay more than the minimum payment. When you're paying off debt, it's important to pay more than the minimum payment. The minimum payment will only cover the interest, which means it will take you much longer to pay off the debt. By paying more than the minimum payment, you will be able to pay off the debt faster and save money on interest in the longer run. Step number 4 is to prioritize high interest debts. When you're paying off debt, it's important to prioritize high interest debt. High interest debt is the debt that has the highest interest rate. This means that the longer you take to pay it off, the more interest you will pay. By prioritizing high interest debts, you will be able to pay it off faster and save more money on interest. Now let's look at number 5 on the list. That is to consider your debt consolidation. Another option for decreasing debt is to consider debt consolidation. Debt consolidation is a process where you take out a loan to pay off multiple debts. This can be a good option for people with multiple credit cards or loans with higher interest rates. By consolidating your debt, you will have one loan with a lower interest rate and only one payment to make each month. Number 6 on the list is to avoid taking on more debt. One of the most important steps in decreasing debt is to avoid taking on more debt. This means that being mindful of your spending. It's also important to avoid using credit cards for unnecessary purchases. Instead, use cash or a debit card for every expenses. Number 7 on the list is to negotiate with creditors. Another strategy for decreasing debt is to negotiate with your creditors. If you're having trouble making your payments, reach out to your creditors and let them know your situation. They may be willing to work with you and come up with a payment plan that works for both of you. This could include reducing the interest rates or extending the term of the loan. Now let's look at what's on the number 8. Number 8 is to seek professional help. If your debt situation is overwhelming and you're not sure whether to turn to seek professional help, there are organizations and agencies that specialize in helping people with debt. They can provide you advice and resources to help you get back on the track. They may also be able to negotiate with your creditors on your behalf. Number 9 on the list is to avoid common mistakes. When it comes to decreasing debt, it's important to avoid common mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes people make is using credit cards to pay off other credit cards. This is known as debt shuffling, and it doesn't solve any problem. It only makes it worse. Another mistake is to ignore the problem and hope it will go away. The longer you wait to address your debt, the harder it will be to pay off. And the last is to stay focused and motivated. Finally, guys, it's important to remember to stay focused and motivated throughout the process of decreasing your debt. It's important to get discouraged when you're dealing with a lot of debt, but it's important to remember that you can get out of debt with the right approach. Stay committed to your plan and remind yourself of your goals. Celebrate small successes, and along the way, remind yourself that every little bit helps. Without wasting any time, you can watch my next video as well. Thank you for sticking in today.